YouTube, thanks for checking back in again today. And we're still on our 1970 Chevelle. So today's goal is to swap out this factory booster. The booster is this component right here that I'm touching. This is your master cylinder. This is your booster. What your booster does is vacuum comes through here, and then it makes it easier to apply your brakes. This car has power brakes. So we're going to eliminate this booster and add a Hydroboost system where it will use power from the power steering pump and run pressurized fluid into it, and that will give you your assist for your brakes on your master cylinder. The reason why we are changing this is because we need more clearance between here and here, because there's a beauty cover that covers this valve cover that we want to install. It is not necessary to install, but it adds a certain look that I would like to have, so that's why we're doing it. So the first thing we need to do is put something to protect these new coils that we have. So we'll get a fender cover there. So we'll protect that. And then this is gonna be a lot easier because we have pulled the dashboard out of this car. The dash came out of this car. The main reason is because where you put vintage air in the car, and we want it to be able to add a lot of insulation right there. Also, we're also adding a digital dash to the car. It makes it a lot easier to do on the bench, but you don't have to. And we would also like to run our wiring very, very clean. So the first thing that we are going to do now is we're going to release this clevis down here. So let's get to it. So you see this component right here? This is our clevis that is attached to the back of our booster. This right here is activated on when you press your brake pedal. It is connected to that. So when you press your brake pedal, you move this in, and then that transfers vacuum from those diaphragms inside your vacuum booster. So we're gonna pull this cotter pin out, then remove this pin, and then we'll go underneath the hood and unbolt our brake booster. You see this nut right there? So this nut right here comes off, and that nut right there. Then we will support this somehow. We're actually gonna put another fender cover right here. So there's a little scratch there, but we will take care of that. So then our brake booster can come off, our master cylinder, which is this component, can come off. Now we're not gonna crack these lines or disturb these lines because we don't need to bleed the brakes to do this. Poly valve cover to clear, I need to move my booster. And I had a Hydroboost, which I intended on putting in the car, just not at this time. I had it in stock, so I wanna put those covers on. So we're gonna put the Hydroboost on now too. So I need to open the box up to make sure I have everything that we need. This is the part number right here. It is made by CPP. So let's open it to see if we have everything. Got some staples in it too. More some staples. trying to get to the instructions. These are the instructions. Now, if you look at this, I'm gonna tell you, this Hydroboost unit doesn't look like anything but a unit for like a Chevy Tahoe or Suburban or a Chevy pickup. But what the difference is, which is supposed to make it easier to mount, is I put plenty of Hydroboost on, and I would just use like Chevy truck ones. But getting it to mount correctly to the firewall is always an issue. And then getting it clocked just becomes a little bit more difficult. So I'm gonna show you what I believe they've done to where it's supposed to be kind of a direct bolt on. They have put this CNC plate on the back of it, where this is supposed to give you the correct angle and the correct bolt pattern where it bolts up easy. Because if you look at one from like a Chevy truck, this plate here is made of like stamped steel. You normally have to drill it out and make it fit. And then I believe a lot of times I wind up mounting them upside down because I like this reservoir here to give me more valve cover clearance. So that'll, I'm wondering, can you still do that, or how does it say it mounts? Well, I'm sure that'll be in the instructions. So these fittings here, and they also appear to be like some AN fittings on here. Yeah, so that's just like AN-6. Yeah, so they've also saved you the trouble of having to find the fittings that would go inside of these ports to where they're just all AN-6. So let me take a look at our instructions and make sure that it'll still give me the clearance I need for that valve cover. And then if that is the case, we're gonna throw this thing on too. Yeah, so according to our instructions, they do have it mounting where the reservoir will be closer to the fender of the car. So this should give us plenty of clearance for our valve covers. So we're definitely gonna put this on now, because it's even simpler because they've given us the fittings that screw into the Hydroboost unit. So I don't have to worry about tracking these down. And this is made, this mounting plate back here is made to put it at the correct angle for the master cylinder to bolt on. And it's just a matter of making lines, and they've given us a clevis, so I don't have to track that down. And as well as these look like some adjustment rods and adapters. So we're definitely putting this on. And so yeah, this should work out great. So let's get to it. So let's pull this thing out. I think there's a wire zip tied to it right down there. So let's cut this zip tie. So our booster's out. Now let's compare this to the size of our Hydroboost. So this is our booster. This is our Hydroboost. It's actually going to sit in the car like this. You can see how much smaller it is and how much clearance we will gain. So we have to put a clevis on here and then some rods. So let's just mock it up in the car first. So it fit right on there. So let's grab a couple bolts. Excuse me, let's grab a couple nuts. Let's put a couple nuts on here. It's a little tight there. Let me pause this. So we got a wrench now. We're gonna get one bolt snugged up. Kind of hard to do holding the camera, but I said I would try it. So we're getting this one to where we need it to be. Probably could grab a 1/4-inch ratchet too and a 9/16 socket. They're kind of far away, so we'll just make do with this. Now we need to look at, well, let me finish this and then I'll talk about it. Okay, so let me grab these tools and then we will talk about it. So another thing you need to be mindful of is, do you see how this push rod, how it sticks out? Because that is what actually will interact with your master cylinder. So you see this hole in here, and this hole here is kind of deep, and this one isn't that deep. So let me see how it was on the other master cylinder. So it's stuck out kind of far. So now we need to see if that when we place this on here, is that push rod going to interact with that correctly? So we'll pull these nuts off. Place our nuts over there, and now so I'm probably gonna have to put this camera down so I can set this master cylinder on. So let's pause for a second. So this is our clevis that screws onto our rod coming out of our Hydroboost unit. So I just wanted to show you this. It has a special clip that retains the pin. So let me open this up so you can see. So it works like that. You pull the pin out and it will go back in. You place that in and then clip it back down on there. So that's how it works. So let's get our clevis adjusted and put this. So we got our Hydroboost unit all mounted up. There's one thing that we do need. We do need a push rod adapter that will go inside the master cylinder so we can get the correct spacing, because the push rod that is on the Hydroboost unit does not stick out far enough. So we need to get that. We also have our push rod inside the car is adjusted all up. So that is on there now. So that is good to go. So we need to also make up our lines for our Hydroboost so we can run it. We need to run a power, so pressurized hydraulic fluid will come from here, and then it needs to run inside of this fitting, of that fitting right there. Then I believe pressurized fluid comes out of here, and then we'll run down to our gearbox right here, and then our return is right here, and we're gonna tee that into our return line right here, which runs back into our reservoir. So we got those fittings coming, and then we can get this thing all wrapped up. So this Hydroboost installation will be a two-parter too. We will get the lines made up and the push rod adapter for the master cylinder. So thank you once again for checking us out here with White One Auto. And I just want to say once again, I really like this CPP Hydroboost unit. It came with the fittings that we need and the adapter plate to bolt right up to the firewall correctly, and as well as the push rod is in a good angle for the firewall, for the brake pedal as well. So I'm very pleased with that. Even though we had to get the master cylinder push rod adapter, those things are just only a couple bucks, like $8 or $9, I think at the most. So I would definitely use this again, and I will put the part number and the price of it at today's time, which is July 5th, 2022. So I'll put the current price right now. So White One Auto,